So what is freedom of speech? Where is the line between a threat, an opinion, or a call to violence? Our country prides itself on our civil liberties, but like with all laws, applying them is complicated. John Tomasi is the president of the Heterodox Academy, a nonprofit organization that supports free speech and viewpoint diversity on college campuses. He joins us now to weigh in on this topic. Welcome, John. It's good to have you here. Tell us a little about Heterodox Academy. Why was it started? What trends were you seeing in institutions of higher education that were worrisome?
Hi, I'm the president of Heterodox Academy. HXA was started by John Haidt in 2015 as a response to some of the concerns about the lack of diversity within higher education. We're a membership organization of 6,000 professors all around the country who are committed to open inquiry, viewpoint diversity, and constructive disagreement. We're professors who love our universities, but we're acutely aware that they've gone astray in really important ways, and we're trying to make them better from the inside.
Well, we've all seen the news. University presidents are facing calls for resignation over anti-Semitism on their campus. Let's just hear some more of those testimonies before we dive in. Take a listen.
The free exchange of ideas is the foundation upon which Harvard is built, and safety and well-being are the prerequisites for engagement in our community.
There is a difference between what we can say to each other, that is what we have a right to say, and what we should say as members of one community. Yet as president of MIT, in addition to my duties to keep the campus safe, I must at the same time ensure that we protect speech and viewpoint diversity for everyone.
I know that we need both safety and free expression for universities and ultimately democracy to thrive. In these times, these competing principles can be difficult to balance, but I am determined to get it right.
This free exchange of ideas is vital for our nation to flourish, but students don't feel safe since the outbreak of the war. Where is the line we draw here? How does your membership feel about all of this, all of the debate around speech here?
I think most of our members were shocked by the presidential testimony. There was a lack of leadership, a lack of vision, a lack of candor, frankly, about what universities have been doing. To hear Claudine Gay say that Harvard is committed to free exchange of ideas is a wonderful and a very welcome statement. But the reality is that Harvard and other universities have not been defending free speech. They've shown an extreme insensitivity to free speech until very recently. And the hypocrisy that's been on display has shocked all of us.
Now, John, the members of your organization, they have joined you because they felt like they couldn't express themselves on campus. Is there a move here to support these students who feel like they have nowhere else to go? That's
right. HXA is a nonpartisan organization. We're committed to these deep values of open inquiry. We believe that universities need to be called to account for the hypocrisy, for the double standards they've been employing. We've seen an era of hypersensitivity to speech. At Harvard, for example, a professor was hounded out because she simply said that biologically there are two sexes. At MIT, a speaker was disinvited because he thought that merit was an important part of admissions. So these are just regular speech statements that these universities have not defended in the past couple of years. And to hear them now say that calls for genocide should be allowed, or at least to be ambivalent about that, is pretty shocking to all of us.
Now, John, Bishop Barron, a prominent Catholic priest, wrote about the congressional testimonies a few days ago. He says that the idea of intrinsically evil acts has disappeared. That means an act by its nature that is disordered and could never be justified. He writes, when we lose a sensitivity to the intrinsically evil, we fall automatically into a moral relativism, whereby even the most egregiously wicked act can be justified or explained away. What are your thoughts on this and how it affects speech on university campuses? Is this the lens that professors and leadership should be using to help some of these students understand the Israel and Hamas war?
I think this concern about the lack of objective truth and the concern for objectivity is an important one. It's not the job of universities, though, to speak with one voice about those kinds of controversial issues. What's been really upsetting to us and worrying to us is that universities have been speaking with one voice about relativism, about the lack of standards, believing that, in fact, there's no such thing as truth except truths that are previously given. What we've seen on college campuses is a simple division based on identity between oppressors and oppressed. And just being assigned to one slot into one category or the other is sufficient to close down debate. We're in favor of open conversations, including important ones about the deep questions of life, the meaning of life, and we're open to a variety of answers. What's objectionable is this pattern we've been seeing of only one sort of answer being allowed.
So then what do these policies look like? Your organization takes a position on fostering free speech, but how can that free speech be fostered and these students at the same time be kept safe?
There has to be a principled commitment enforced in an even-handed way to prevent true threats, to prevent harassment, to prevent incitements to violence. Those are clearly objectionable violations of any campus's speech code, and the president should have made that very clear at that meeting. On the other hand, we need to make space for open conversations about some of these issues. We have to have a special environment at universities that allows for an unusually wide range of points of view being expressed, precisely so we can see what's out there, so we can discuss them and work on them together.
Now, John, really quick, what is your hope from these congressional probes and from everything that we're seeing with these university leaders? What does your membership hope will happen?
I think the status quo has been shattered. And I think that now the public gaze is firmly on universities. We're having a glimpse inside what's been happening at universities for years. At HXA, we've been tracking the rise of some of these deeply illiberal, deeply intolerant viewpoints. And now we're seeing the university's presence being called to account to be more consistent in their defense of free speech. I was delighted to hear these presidents talk about their commitment to free speech, but it's a newfound commitment. And it seems to be applying only in the cases where Jews are being attacked. We love to see them be committed to free speech in deep and principled ways. And we're willing to support any president who wants to do that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, John. We look forward to seeing how this develops.
Thank you for having me on.